Welcome to today's episode of Allo Lebanon, a podcast about the Lebanese political and economic crisis. I am Wed Aug. I'm your host today, and today's episode is special because our guests are our production team or co-producers of this podcast, Lynn and Lea Aug, who are at the same time representing the young generation, Lebanese young generation. Lynn, can you start? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how the crisis influenced your life?
Hi, first of all, I'm a 20-year-old student at the American University of Beirut. I'm studying business administration, and the Lebanese crisis influenced my life on many levels. So first of all, I had hope when the protest started, and I went down to the streets in hope of changes and in hope of making Lebanon a better place to live, especially for us to have a better future and for us to have a better life here. But after many months, it's been almost a year, we realized that no changes happened, and it pushed us, the young ones, to leave the country, leave our family. And
you mean you are preparing to leave? You came to the conclusion that you have to leave the country. There is no future at the moment for you.
Exactly. Our future in Lebanon especially is very vague, and till now that we can't see a future here.
You already have a lot of friends who left.
Most of my friends left, yes. 80% of them left the country.
Where do they go?
Canada, because it's easy for them to go and have a student life there, or to Europe countries where it's easier for students to be.
Can you tell us a little bit about the explosion in August on August 4? You were at the time of the explosion. You were in Ashrafiyeh, which was the most affected area.
True, I was in Ashrafiyeh when the explosion happened. I was with my dad in the car. When the first explosion happened, we thought that someone bumped into our car from the back, and in fraction of seconds, the second explosion was on, and I couldn't remember anything but seeing the red smoke coming out and hearing a very loud noise that kept us deaf for like 5 minutes. We couldn't hear anything anymore. In few seconds, you could see Beirut collapse. It was raining shattered glass. People were running on the streets full of blood. Dogs, cats were running everywhere. Cars exploded, glass cars exploded. Buildings were just collapsing on our heads. And it was a very painful scene to see how Lebanon in few seconds was able to change and be really a place like...
What came to your mind first? What was your reaction? How did you react?
Okay, so of course I was shaking. I started crying. And the first thing I thought about was my friends and my family, if they're still alive. So I called the worst part of it was calling your friends or people you know who lived in the area and just asking them if they're still alive. So the question you could only think about is, are you alive? And just when you hear their voice, just hang up and call the other person just to make sure everyone's alive, all your relatives are alive, all your friends are alive. And the second thing I thought about was leaving the country.
Were you alone in the car?
I said I was with my dad in the car. My dad is used to explosions and being in scenes like that because he lived during the war. He was very reassuring, but he told me to expect another explosion to happen maybe, or something else to happen, and not be afraid if if ever something else happened, because it's Lebanon and it's been that way for 40, 50 years.
So when was the moment when you definitely knew that you have to leave the country? That there is no future, or at least not the near future for you?
Few seconds after the explosion. The words I said to my dad were like, I'm leaving Lebanon and I don't want to stay here. When we were in the car,
You said it calmly, or
no, I was traumatized and I was like, I'm leaving Lebanon, I'm not coming back.
So you were making a scene and shouting.
Yes, and these words came out of my mouth, and these words were the ones I remember. I was like, I'm leaving right away and I don't want to wait any year longer. Because you can expect the unexpected. Who knew?
And you still waited almost. It's going to be a year.
It's been a year.
So
yes.
It's not that easy decision.
No, because Lebanon is going through many problems, and it's very hard for us to leave, especially people who have income from Lebanon. Their income is from Lebanon, and it's hard. It's not easy.
Why?
Because Lebanon is going through economical crisis, and this economical crisis led to currency devaluation. It led to lack of fuel in the country, which led to many other problems.
And when we talk about how this economical crisis and the financial crisis makes it difficult for you to leave the country, can you be more specific?
Parents cannot send money for their kids abroad.
So if you leave, you would have no support. You have to just find a job and be self-sufficient.
Exactly. So I have to live on the cash we have at home for the time that I find a job, make my money, and be able to live by myself there. So that's one point. And the second point is, because Lebanon has many conflicts and is going through a lot, countries abroad are not accepting Lebanese people to leave, especially with COVID. So Lebanon is not a country that is welcomed abroad.
Lea, how about you? You are just in your final year. You are just graduating the high school, but you still decided to start the university here in Lebanon, despite the fact that you know that most likely it would be necessary to go abroad and leave. So what do you think?
I personally have mixed feelings about leaving the country. If you ask anyone in the family, I might be the last person that decides that she has to leave. But through all that, I still have the idea in my head. And even though I'm not ready to leave now, I'm preparing myself mentally and physically to leave in 3 years after I'm done with my bachelor's degree, since I'm graduating this year. But I completely refuse to leave the country immediately, since personally I still have hope. I see it in the people that still stick to Lebanon.
By the way, yes, you can see a huge resilience in people. We were just discussing with Jean, my husband. It's really funny how you see people still having this hope and trying to live normally. We see the wife of our neighbor who is just having income from Lebanon, and very poor income. But despite this, every Sunday she dresses up herself, she puts makeup and with a smile on her face. Even I told Jean, recently when I ask people how they are, their reply is, I'm very good. As if nothing is happening. So
what's nice about the Lebanese people is that despite everything they go through, they still find a way to enjoy life. They know how to have fun. They know how to make the best of everything. If they're having fun, you feel like there's no crisis. Everything is fine. Nothing happened.
Tomorrow it will be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything has a solution. But I think that's because they're used to it happening in the country. It's been like that for around 30 years. So,
but the crisis we are living now there has never been such a crisis.
They lived several similar situations
Ups and
before.
downs, yes.
So, but Lebanese people have pretty spirits.
And now the last question for both of you. What would you wish for Lebanon? What would you, and for yourself, if you have to leave the country, would your dream would be to close the door and never come back, never look back? Or do you have a still special place for Lebanon in your heart and your dream is to come back one day?
It's impossible to let go of your roots, and it's impossible to let go of a country who was there to make you grow as a person, not only as a kid. I believe that if I lived anywhere else than Lebanon, I wouldn't be the person I am now. Lebanon made us grow into people who
It builds personalities.
It built us really. We're really strong people. I can compare myself to my cousins who live abroad. I know I am capable of doing things better than them, especially in life, not only academically or in the family, just being or having friends in life. We can deal with situations, hard situations, much better than them.
Like survival mode.
Exactly. Yeah. When my aunt who lives in America asks me, "How are you?" I always answer, "We're surviving." Now we're at a state where we're only surviving. We're living to survive. We have no purpose right now. But I definitely wish that Lebanon becomes a better place, that we can come back and live, because I wouldn't want my kids to live and grow anywhere else. Lebanon has value, family value. Their kids, I don't know, it's a very nice place that is very much different than other countries. I travel a lot and I know how people are abroad, and nothing compares to Lebanon.
Personally, I'm hoping that by the time I'm done with my bachelor's degree, everything would be back to normal and I wouldn't have to leave. But in the case where it doesn't happen, I'm gonna go finish my master's degree, maybe get more experience from living abroad on my own, and definitely come back. If we're not in Lebanon, Lebanon will always stay in us.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn and Lea, for really valuable information and emotional discussion we had. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I'm Vera Obeid, and this episode was brought to you by Lynn and Lea Obeid, who were the guests of today's episode as well. The guest of our next episode will be Natalie Hani, the principal of Secondary Division of Jesus and Mary School.